question is also about affordability of real estate. To the majority who are living in the metropolitan cities and in and around, you know, it's gone way out of hands for the majority of us. It's become so expensive that you can compare these rates with that of New York or even Singapore. You may not be able to get the same size, but we're talking about those rates, per SFT being very expensive. In such a case, how do you think affordable housing as a whole can take off over here?
I think this is something which is about consumption pattern in India. Like we give disproportionate weight to housing in a certain way. In most other countries, I think the weight of housing is not that big. I don't know why this is the case, that or maybe this will change over time as we grow and the proportion of money that we save for housing will come down. But I came from a town where majority of the people are lower middle income. They go to a steel company or automobile company, somewhere in the lower middle to upper middle income. But the cost of housing is just outrageous. Rental value is almost zero. But if you want to buy a house, even a small house will cost you 1 crore rupees. And you're like, why people in Jamshedpur want to pay 1 crore rupees for a house? It's a declining city because of manufacturing capital. In the last 20 years, it has shed more than 2 lakh jobs. Why people still want to pay this amount of money to live here? But it's there. And people are ready to put all their hard-earned money in their life buying that one house. Some of this I can blame it to real estate regulations and how this has not worked out for citizens in general. But I don't know the right reason. But we are ready to shell out a lot of money to buy a house.
Yes.
And the true reasons, I don't know. But I also wonder, like you, how this is going to work out and why this is not working out for the larger citizens.
The reasons as to why I asked you this question is because, there's no real price discovery mechanism in real estate, especially in our country. And, this real estate bubble that burst in Japan in late 1990s, it took a lot of time for it to recuperate. At least in the US, you have house prices kind of having some sort of fair discovery prices, prices kind of fluctuate and so on. Do you believe that we are at that moment where, a couple of years of this irrational speculation in real estate might burst? Or, and also another question to it would be, irrational speculation in real estate is posing a threat and is also transferring risk in its own multiple dimensions.
I have studied real estate from property taxes point of view.
Okay.
I have done some study as to how to think about real estate as an asset class. But when it comes to pricing of real estate, as a researcher, it is very hard to say anything. Because first, it's a very diversified country. So, housing prices have risen up in major capital cities. But the rest of the country, this is not the case. So, especially the eastern and northeastern part of India, it has declined actually over time. There's not much growth. This growth you see is only in the southern part of this country. And this is in and around large cities. I also think a lot of this is money flowing backwards. So it's like I make some money and then I ask my father to buy a house in his hometown. This is also funneling some amount of money to those smaller cities where some amount of price rise. But because we don't get any detailed information about market prices, it is very, very hard to do long-term study on this. So recently, some of the cities are started doing this. So Maharashtra has recently released information where you can actually track every property which is sold and what is the price at which it is sold, what is the taxes being paid on that property and things like this. So they're very interesting. Like once it starts showing up, it will take 10 years of time when people will start building models, start thinking about what is happening to large cities, mid-sized cities, small cities, and all this. But given the lack of data, I don't think anyone in India at this point in time can tell you the long-term trend in this kind of a thing or how. At least as a researcher, I can say that this will take a while before we can say anything meaningful about it.
Investments in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.